Will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Can I get a roll call, Antoinette?
Mr. Cook?
Present.
Mr. Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Would somebody like to audit the bills?
I'll make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 3, dated February 10th, 2017, in the amount of, drum roll please, $1,118,124.06. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Burns is absent tonight, so we are moving on to Mr. D'Andriano.
Okay, first on my agenda is the contract for Partners in Safety for our new EMTs. We have a contract here for Partners in Safety to provide the fit testing, PPD tests, and provide for hepatitis B vaccines. So I can make a motion to accept this contract as written. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Denise Montana.
There she is.
you are, right in front of me. We'll have Sue send this back in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, because she needs to add the email onto this.
Okay.
Okay.
Next item on my agenda regarding the Patterson EMS. We have been interviewing many candidates, EMT candidates. I'd like to thank Denise Montana and Sean Rogan. Myself have been for many hours, many nights, interviewing many applicants. A lot of good applicants we've talked to. Unfortunately, the way the civil service process works, we can't reach them yet because we have to make sure we have to interview down, as we go down the list. So we're working through that. So right now, we would like to I'd like to make a motion to hire Christopher Langley for the position of EMT, pending his completion of his background check and processing of his application. So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Charles.
Next we have Putnam Lake Park District. We received a letter from Marguerite Short advising her of her resignation from the advisory board due to many personal and family commitments. So I will make a motion. First off, I will thank Marguerite for her service to the board, to the community.
Here, here.
And I will make a motion that the town board accept Marguerite's resignation letter, which is effective tonight.
Can we vote no on that? We don't really want to see Marguerite leave. I know that she'll be involved in any way that she can, so I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly, aye.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
all of
Marguerite.
your help and your continued help in the future.
And next we have an individual from Putnam Lake who would like to serve on the board, and we will be talking to that individual after the meeting in executive session. Next we have an update from Matt Chabarro, our recreation director. We previously approved a number of camp costs for this coming year, and there was an incorrect amount for the flag football as it relates to additional child per family per week. We approved it at a rate of $125 when it should have been $95. So I'll make a motion that the town board approves the corrected rate for additional child per family per week at $95. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Charles. Okay, first item I'd like to talk about is a note that the town received from the New York State Department of Health, which is in relation to a new initiative that just received funding. The title of the program is called the Free Lead Testing Pilot Program. And the New York State Department of Health has appropriated about $1.5 million to this free lead testing pilot program. And this money, this program became effective just a few days ago on February 15th. And it is available to all residents of New York State, whether you are on a private or a public water supply. And it's, in essence, it's funding that is available to collect some water samples, 2 water samples to be more specific, from your drinking water. And the way that you would go about getting involved in this program, the easiest way for the purposes of notification is by contacting the State Health Department at 518-402-7650. And they will ask you a few questions such as where you live, what your name is, and you have to coordinate with them. But that is something that residents should be aware of. We've heard from residents that have had issues with their water over the last several months that lead is something that is very important to know whether or not you have a concern with your water. Also, if you have any questions specific to your water, I would encourage residents to contact the Putnam County Health Department at 845-808-1390. So that's a new program that hopefully people will avail themselves of.
And we will be posting this information up on our website for anybody who would like to go up there and get the numbers rather than sit here and try to write it all down.
There was a lot of information. To try to do a website through this is a little difficult, so thank you for that. That was one of my questions. Next item we have is related to the Veterans Memorial Park. We have been working diligently, thank you, Don, with help from your office, on a number of agreements to be able to effectuate the hiring of our new park caretaker, Tyler Whitcomb. And we've had the revisions back. And are there any unanswered questions, Don, that I just saw really 1 or 2 minor things that...
Do you dare?
Well...
No, they're not.
Perfect, thank you.
There is one issue that we've been discussing with the town controller with regard to Tyler's being hired, who I understand is, the town board is anxiously looking forward to be able to hire him. But an issue's been raised after we learned that he is currently a full-time employee of the town sanitation department. And we have a bit of a minor issue to decide on, and whether someone could serve as an independent contractor for the town at the same time as being a full-time employee. So we only learned of Tyler's employment within the last week or so, and we still need a little bit of time to work potentially with Labor Council that we've been reaching out to confirm that. I don't have any problem with the fact that the caretaker's position would be an independent contractor position, but the issue is whether it would be deemed as hours work that would potentially raise a claim for overtime because it's over and above the hours spent for the sanitation department. It seems logical that it should be permitted, but we just haven't been able to find anything definitive that says it is okay.
We have been round and round with Tyler's employment, and absolutely he is the right person for this job. However, the fact that he is an employee with the town already, that raises some issues, as well as whether he would be an independent contractor or remain an employee working for the Park District. And then I've learned a new word today, inurement, which is giving an employee a benefit that others don't receive. And, we've gone round and round on that. I think we're all of the opinion at this point that the advice we received from the federal government was incorrect. I won't tell you which branch. God help you with your taxes. But
Help you.
yeah, it's been an interesting few days trying to resolve some of these issues.
So we collaboratively, we need a little bit more time. Recognize it's important. I don't have any open issues on the agreements, I think.
No, nor do I. Okay.
So So has everybody had a chance to read these contracts? We're okay with them?
They seem fine. There was minor questions about like number of guests that were allowed in the house overnight, that simple things like that, but no, the agreements are fine. Anyone else?
No.
Charles?
Okay.
No?
But do we vote on, I know because the agreement's new, we never really had anything like this. Are we voting on the lease agreement, or just specifically towards whoever, when we have it finalized?
We've already, I believe, taken the action to appoint Tyler. Right now,
Yeah.
what you need to do is authorize me to sign the agreements.
Okay. When we get past this legal issue. Okay.
Well, I think
it authorized the
regardless,
agreements in their generic form.
Okay.
I think that would be all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so in the matter of the caretaker agreement, the generic caretaker agreement between the town of Patterson and the person that would be the incumbent in the position, I will make a motion that we approve the caretaker agreement and the lease agreement, both drafted February 15, 2017, and allow the supervisor to effectuate those documents. So moved.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay, first on my agenda is a resolution to approve the agreement for service of our pole units. Pole units are our filter and polishing units over at the wastewater treatment plant, and every year we have to enter into a contract for service and troubleshooting of the contract. This year it actually went down a little bit, I think about $600. But the annual service agreement is for $12,290. So I'd like to introduce this resolution approving the contract with Paul to provide service for the Paul units at the wastewater treatment plant, and enter it into the record as though read. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What do we have here? Next up we need to approve a resolution for the contracts for Putnam Lake and Patterson Fire Department. Putnam Lake's contract is all set to go. I have not had an opportunity to meet with Eleanor at this time.
Yep, Eleanor Smith, President, Patterson Fire Department. I did speak to our council today. He had a couple more revisions that I sent back to him, so the contract should be here any day, to your office any day now. So we have been working on it. Sorry for the delay, but it's just been a lot of things going on.
Okay.
Okay,
We had a couple of other things to discuss as well.
Yeah, we're trying to get our schedules together, and hopefully next week we'll meet with you.
Next week?
I'm waiting for Matt's schedule to come out. His schedule is a little tougher than mine.
Okay.
So we're going to get a couple of people to meet with you, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Great.
All right, so we will table then Patterson's contract. But we have a resolution for the renewal of the agreement with the Putnam Lake Fire Department in the amount of $407,000 and $407,600.
$407,600.
That's what I said.
Yes.
4 times. Like to introduce this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Get
Excuse me,
stuck
who
on
seconded
this.
that?
Charlie did.
I'm sorry.
Charlie. Yes. All right, we're going to table 21 Big Elm Road driveway bond. I was hoping we would have the bond here, but it did not arrive. So, the next is a resolution for a tax certiorari that has been settled between the town of Patterson and Victorian Heights LLC. The cost to the town is $1,257.21. Got that out. So I'd like to I'd like to move this resolution and enter it into the record as though read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Last and the most painful is I have a resolution here approving an agreement between the Clover Lake Senior Facility and the town of Patterson on a tax certiorari. Charlie, I just realized I didn't run the numbers on this.
Yeah, I apologize to Charlie, I didn't pick it up.
Well, it says that waive the refunds from the town.
That's true. That's true. That's why I didn't run the numbers. That was
Right.
2 weeks ago. Anyway, I've got a resolution settling this tax certiorari. So I'd like to move the resolution and enter it into the record as though read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I will defer the executive session to the end of the meeting, which is for the purpose of interviewing a candidate for the Putnam Lake Park Advisory Board.
Point of order, 2 years ago, you indicated, or the board indicated that they were going to provide the numbers relative to the tax certiorari.
Correct.
Could you please tell us what those numbers are?
For the
Or
town-
ballpark
For
it?
the town of Patterson for Clover Lake,
Yes.
the settlement is contingent upon the town not having to pay any money for the settlement.
Okay, that happened the last time. What about school and county? Because we all pay school and county, if we
yes.
live in the Como School
We have
District.
not run those numbers for the school or the county. I can tell you they're going to be considerable.
What was their final assessment?
$5,615,000.
In other words,
original
what was the
assessment-
reduction of their assessment?
The original assessment was $9,032,600. The reduction is $3,417,600. So we are settling for a 4-year term on $5 million. Their future assessment will be $5,615,000.
No, for the years 2013 and 16 will be
13 through
that.
16.
Then it goes back up, right?
Then it starts going back up. Correct.
And we had to pay for an appraisal on that property. What did it cost us for the appraisal on the
Did
property?
not actually pay for an appraisal.
You didn't?
No.
And what was the property appraised for by their bank?
It was down, I don't have those figures in front of me, so I don't have specific figures, but it was down around $4 million.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other business. I have one piece of other business. This weekend, I became aware of a business in the town of Patterson that is selling road salt at their site. This is a business that we discovered they were selling road salt at their site in 2014, and they were very specifically told at a public meeting that that was not going to be permitted on the site. Apparently, they did not heed that, and they, again, this year, are selling road salt out there. They are putting it in concrete bins. They have tarps next to them, but the salt is exposed to the weather. And we all know what that can do. I think at this point, the town needs to take much more forceful action and remediate the situation as quickly as possible. I want that salt off the site. I want to know where he's going to put it. And along those lines, I would like to ask the town attorney to go in and get an injunction for the Supreme Court to order the individual to remove the salt immediately from the site as quick as we can.
Is that, question, even though they were told at a public meeting 2 years ago not to do it, and they've done it, so they've shown they don't follow the direction of the town, is all of that necessary prior to having our building inspector or someone go out and say, hey, you've got this pile of salt that's not allowed, move it within 7 days, or we're going to do all this?
Our building inspector has gone out.
Okay.
He has talked to the individual.
Okay.
The individual's response was that a former building inspector told him it was okay to do it,
Huh.
and that he's been doing it for 25 years.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I need to give you this, don't I? Yeah, this is a memo from our building inspector. Basically, the individual has refused to comply.
Because I saw that.
Violations have been issued.
I didn't see it.
I saw that Teddy went out there, the wetlands inspector, but he wasn't able to really do a full inspection.
And I'm not so concerned with the wetlands as I am the groundwater. And everybody's well out there. I mean, we're seeing issues in the hamlet. You know, do we need to compound that throughout the town by individuals who just flagrantly violate the law? So that packet of information I gave you, essentially through Google Earth, the building inspector pulled up photos showing that this is a relatively new practice.
So the only way to cease and desist is to,
Bob has issued violations, but as you know, let me throw out worst case scenario. We've got a case where somebody brought contaminated fill on the site in 2010. We are still in front of our court.
And what we envision, Charlie and Sean, is
Yeah.
probably concurrent steps being taken.
Sure.
The court does not, the local justice court in which the violations are typically processed does not have jurisdiction and equity to be able to issue an injunction. That's why a petition to the Supreme Court is required if they don't voluntarily comply. But I think there should still be a concurrent town court enforcement proceeding, and we will sort out the procedural steps on it.
Okay.
But there should still be a notice of violation issued and cease and desist.
And it has been.
Right, okay. We should get that.
Bob's memo talks about bins and when they were on site or not. But when we were on site as planning board, there were bins there, but it wasn't for salt storage. It was for gravel. There were bins out there.
No, that was the conversation we had with him when you were chairman of the planning board, that he was storing salt on the site.
But, well, I remember there being gravel and I remember there being
Yeah.
mulch and stuff because the guys would come in and they would load. But they seemed like they were there even longer than 2010. It's saying that the Google images
Don't show them.
don't show them.
And no, they weren't there. They were relatively new.
Yeah, here's 2010.
Yeah, it's just hard from the pictures to really.
Yeah.
let's do what we have to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town attorney to go under Supreme Court, and take whatever action he needs to take to have the individual remove the salt from the site.
Second.
And I would also like to know where it goes to make sure he just doesn't move it to some other inappropriate place. All in favor?
He should have a salt sell it and get rid of it and then.
Yeah, that's what we need.
I mean, I would hope though that the owner would just realize that he has erred incorrectly and remove it. And
I will tell you, Bob's been out there and he feels that he is absolutely right. He's not going to change his ways.
Okay.
So, any other town board member have any other business?
We just have an announcement. It's not really other business. It's under
Oh, you
announcements.
can make it.
Oh, we'll do it. Okay, so we have the free rabies vaccine clinic Saturday, March 25th from 2 to 5 p.m. And this is down in Mahopac at the Animal Hospital of South Putnam, which is on Baldwin Place Road. And anyone who would like to get free rabies vaccinations for their pets can bring their pets on that day. They just ask for photo ID as proof of a Putnam County residence and proof of a prior rabies vaccination so that you can get credit for the prior vaccination for your pet. For more information, you can contact the Putnam County Health Department at 845-808-1390. And I always like to, Paul's good at getting these pictures. One more? Great, thanks, Paul. That's all.
Anyone else? Public recognition. First up.
Pat Ploger, 5 Lakeshore Drive. I would like to second this board's regret that you had to accept Marguerite's resignation. Our board actually went through the same thing, so we understand why she's leaving, but it kind of wrenches our hearts that she is. But we know she's not going anywhere, and we know where she lives. There was an item on Sean's agenda, pond water treatment.
Yeah, that's for the park on Maple Avenue, and they haven't figured out yet what route, who we're going to use.
Oh, okay, but
We
you
were
will
hoping
be...
they would- Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll talk, but I'd be curious to know what process or what chemicals you might be using there.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think we're hoping it'll be similar to the contractor that is used for Putnam Lake. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we just don't have all the information for tonight.
Now, my main reason for getting up here is a couple of weeks ago, Rich and I were talking about the cutrine treatment on Putnam Lake, and Rich said, well, besides that treatment and the carp gate coming up and the introduction of carp, how else are you protecting the lake? And what steps are you taking? So I said, well, we're doing things like making sure that the law about picking up dog waste is enforced as much as we can ourselves, that we have no enforcement apparatus to do that. We're trying to create buffer zones around the parkland. We're doing all of this, protecting the parkland, which is the first line of defense for the lake. But one of the big things that we didn't talk about a couple of weeks ago was the septic systems, specifically on the lake, which, as you know, is effectively a very large bowl. So everything on either side just goes right into the lake. And as of last May, am I correct, Rich? The powers that be said that not just in Putnam Lake, but everywhere in the county, that septic systems had to be pumped within that 5-year period and thereafter, according to whatever the hauler decided. I just want to know where we stand, how many homes, for example, in Patterson or in the Putnam Lake area in particular, because we're concerned about that, specifically, have been or haven't been. Do you have an idea? And what are you doing to ensure that all of them will be in Patterson and specifically Putnam Lake?
Sure. At this point, I believe roughly, give or take, there's about 500 people who have submitted inspection forms, actually contractors, out of 3,700 homes.
From the whole town?
From the whole town.
Wow.
Letters will start going out this spring as a reminder, but again, as I had the conversation with you, I know one of the people that is on the list is me.
Yeah.
And I have had my septic pumped, and I do have my slip, but apparently it was never turned in.
Uh-huh.
So we may be seeing more of that. So when I say there's only about 500, I would imagine it's actually quite a bit more. But I think the septic haulers are not turning in the slips as well as they could.
Right.
Last year, the health department was gracious enough to share their database with the town. We had an intern go through it and compare the slips that we had. We added to it. So we've got a database of everybody that, has an individual septic system, and who is pumped and who is not. So beginning this spring, letters will be going out notifying people that don't forget, and then we're going to start following up with people.
In the sense of knocking on doors or issuing violations?
Issuing notices of violation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Peggy Boyle, Sapling Court. Just as an update, and I think you already know this, Rich, Jen and I met with representatives from Senator Maloney's office last week, in reference to the water situation in Patterson. Maria said she also had a conversation with you.
She has.
And, you know, everybody seems to be on the same page, and she's hoping to move forward and start getting out as much information as she can.
Yeah, as soon as we have some more definitive answers, which I hope are going to start coming when we get the results back from the water sampling.
Right.
9 out of the 10 have been sampled at this point, so
Okay.
We'll have a better idea what help we need from either Senator Murphy or Sean Patrick Maloney.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
Good evening again. Just a follow-up from a couple of weeks ago in reference to cell towers, both Metro North and the county, and the jogging trail.
There is no new information on either of what's being proposed by the county or Metro North. They haven't gotten back to me with any new information. The individual on the bike trail, because we're all very interested in the bike trail, is John Pillner. He is now with the county part-time. And I played phone tag with him for a little bit. Hopefully he is, I called over there today again. He was not in today. He will be in tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to connect with him tomorrow.
Fine. Are you aware, has the county come up with any suggestions at what can be done with the other half of the line? Seeing that Metro North has indicated they want to sell or dispose of the second track.
I don't.
No, I was just curious if they had reached out to you.
No, they have not reached out to me. And the last conversation I had was that they were still pursuing funding, but the one section in Patterson going up into homes was not going to get done.
Okay.
I'm hoping that
Let's see if we can get that
change
changed.
their mind on that.
Okay. And just one last thing. At the end of the last meeting, right before you went into executive session, you indicated that there's a new lawsuit filed in reference to Patterson Crossing. Could you explain what the nature of that lawsuit is?
It's not actually a new lawsuit. There was an issue where there was a FOIL request filed with the town of Patterson for certain documents that didn't exist, while at the same time I was reviewing other documents. And she felt that this one individual who filed the lawsuit felt that the documents I were reviewing were something different than what I was actually looking at. So we went back and forth. I tried to explain to her on a number of different occasions I was not looking at a site plan with a gas station for Patterson Crossing, but I was looking at some architectural pictures. Could not convince her, so she filed a lawsuit with the town. The Supreme Court found her actions so egregious that they actually awarded the town damages as well as the developer. She appealed that, and the Court of Appeals didn't differentiate between the architectural renderings and the site plan, so they reversed the decision. It really has no effect on the project.
No, okay.
The impact to the town other than the attorney fees was minimal, so the town board decided we were not going to go forward. This individual felt that having prevailed, that she should have been awarded substantial damages, so she is bringing us back into court and asking the second department to award her substantial damages, again, you know, for the town's egregious actions.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I was late. What was the bond issue with the 21 Big Elm? Because I live there.
Mrs. McHenry?
Yes.
Hi.
Miss.
Ms., I'm sorry.
Miss.
Single. I'm sorry. Miss.
No, Miss.
Okay. I can lay it all out to you. If you'd like to come into my office, it might be a better conversation, but essentially it's this. There's a driveway that was created that needed to be paved under our code. Tyler Morello put up a bond for that.
Was the bond cash, check,
Bond
or
was-
bond
it was-
through an insurance company?
It was cash, and the town deposited it. He no longer owns the property. When the sale of the property occurred during the closing, there should have been a transfer of that over to you. It didn't happen. So what now has to happen is you have to post a bond. I have to release Tyler's bond. Town board has to release Tyler's bond. And I believe that Mr. McCarthy has had conversations where Tyler is aware of this and has acknowledged that once released, he's going to give you the money. You haven't heard this?
I'm smiling because this bond that you have on the agenda for 21 Big Elm
Right.
is not listed under 21 Big Elm. It's listed under Tyler Morello. If it
Okay.
was in my name, it would have been transferred when I bought the property. So, my question is, why is Tyler and Bob McCarthy telling me I have to post a bond that should have been transferred? I don't want to lay out $2,100 hoping that the builder of my house that sold it to me decides he's going to pay me for it. That doesn't make sense, and that doesn't seem legal in my head. The bouncing ball is I bought a property, I was told the bond was in my name, in my property name, and then after the closing I was told it's not. So, to me, that means if Tyler's an upstanding man, he can give me my money toward the driveway that I'm now in violation, and I can't get variances for anything, my fences, any type of driveways, permits were started and not finished. I mean, my house is a cluster mess, and it's horrible, and I've been in the house 3 months, and I've been served 3 variances. I've been served, you're gonna be fined. I've had people actually send me notes telling me that how dare you put a fence up on your property when this land should have been ours. This is like really a bizarre, strange thing. And I understand it was vacant for 60 years, and people kind of have a feeling that this was their land, but I bought it, and it's mine now. And I don't feel that Tyler's, I'm trying to figure out tonight, that bond toward what, it's not in Big Elm, correct?
The bond
Yes or no? Is it in?
The bond is to secure the paving of that driveway.
Wait, you didn't answer my question. Is it in 21 Big Elm Road?
No. 21 Big Elm Road is the address of the
That's,
property.
so that bond that you're all talking about is like in a cloud on the internet. It's not for me and my property, yes or no?
It is in
Legally.
relationship to your property.
Relationship
Okay.
through verbal and in the
Tyler
cloud
Morello.
of everything that has been talked about.
If I may, Tyler Morello posted a cash bond so that he could get a certificate of occupancy for the property rather than pave the driveway.
Correct,
Right?
correct?
At the closing, the proper thing to do would have been to transfer that bond, that amount of money, over into your name. That was not done.
Correct. So we're talking about legal versus ethical, okay? So I'm stuck now with an ethical problem that someone didn't do.
Okay. It wasn't me that didn't do it.
No, no, I'm
It
not
was on the
talking about
agenda.
you. I'm
It
not
was-
talking about you, but I'm
Okay,
just saying
so-
for future.
But to
That
be
bond
clear-
was not put, I was told at my closing by Tyler, that bond was going to be for me and my driveway.
Okay.
Okay? Me and my driveway doesn't have any stake on Tyler's bond sitting in a drawer or wherever it is. So therefore, I'm being told I now have to post another $2,100 to get out of something that you all in your little universe thought was in my... I was shocked in your agenda, it was my address. How is that my address when that bond has nothing to do with my address? But it has everything to do with why I can't get a variance for my fence, why I can't put up a porch, why I can't come to the board for anything. It is wrong. And I'm not blaming any of you. I'm just hoping this doesn't happen to anybody else in this community when there's a builder that has a lot of stake in your community that decides they're going to throw money and say, oh, can I have my CO? And the person that buys that house is stuck with everything they didn't do, and I have no legal anything. And it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
I don't disagree with you that it's wrong. I think once this was brought to my attention, I sat with the building department, and I believe we've implemented procedures within that department so this won't happen again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that for future people, because I hope they don't go through what I've gone
It
through.
was on the agenda tonight because I was informed that you were fine posting a bond, at which time we could release Tyler's bond and fix this whole problem. So, and that's the only reason it was on for tonight.
It was on tonight because I've called my lawyer, who unfortunately is the town's lawyer. I didn't know my closing lawyer for my home was the town's lawyer. So there's a conflict of interest there. And I want that on the record, that there's a conflict, because my lawyer is a great lawyer, Mike Ligori. And now he can't tell me anything, but I closed on a home that now I'm stuck, where you're all harassing me and don't allow me to do anything, and telling me I now have to bring at least $2,400 to get Tyler's bond released. Tyler, if he was an upstanding man, he would have been here tonight and just said, it's ours. I feel this is a small town thing that's really wrong, and I'm saying it to everybody. We're tired of small town people pushing people around, getting COs for homes that shouldn't, and then we're stuck paying and paying and paying, and it's wrong. I paid $12,000 plus on a 1,600 square foot house that is horrifically tiny for that amount of taxes, and I think it's wrong. 2 weeks ago, I came up to the board, and I was handed a letter while I was talking to get my variance for my fence.
Just so we're clear, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yes, not you.
Okay.
I'm not against you. I just don't think people need to be giving COs and saying this is this and it's there and that and this. I closed on my house in October, and I came to a variance and I was handed a letter. Does that not seem a little shady to everybody? You're talking for a variance for a fence and being told, hey, you're fine now and you can't do anything because you don't have a bond on this thing that's not even in your name. That bond that you're talking about at 21 Big Elm isn't even my bond. My address is not on that bond. How did my name or address even get there? Because someone said it. Someone said it.
Agenda?
That agenda for 21 Big Elm is not legally my address. If it was, it would have been transferred at the closing.
What is your address?
21 Big Elm. That's my address, but the bond's not on my address. If it was, when I closed on my home, it would have been transferred to me.
And we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, then how did 21 Big Elm? Why wasn't Tyler Morello's bond being released?
Oh, I see.
He's right.
Come on.
She's right?
Well, no.
Yes, that should have been Tyler Morello's bond versus 21 Big Elm. Not that, there's no bond in my address, period. Why is my address on Tyler Morello's bond that's not on my address that's on your agenda?
Listen, I'm sorry if you're offended because I put 21 Big Elm. It goes to the days when I was with the planning board doing the agenda. We identified everything on the agenda by the address. So, Tyler Morello's bond was initially put up to secure the CO for 21 Big Elm Road. That's why it's on the agenda.
But there's no bond on my address. He told you verbally. How is something verbally being put legally on a form? That's my question. There is nothing in my address for that bond, but yet my address is
That
on your
bond-
bond and on
no.
your agenda.
Tyler Morello posted a bond to secure the driveway at 21 Big Elm
But
Road.
there's nothing legally written for my address for my driveway. Nothing.
Now I'm lost.
When he put the bond, it's not my address.
Yes, that bond was put up to secure the driveway at your address.
Was the C of O not on your address?
No.
The C of O for your
The
house doesn't say
CO,
21?
that should have legally just transferred then,
But that,
at my closing. Because Mike
I'm new to this
Ligori,
conversation, but isn't that the whole reason we're here is because
we're
it wasn't
here
transferred?
because someone dropped the ball. Tyler said, give me the CO, I'll put some money in for a bond.
That's not somebody dropping the ball. That's process to, that's the reason for the bond. It sounds like the ball might have been dropped at the closing where it wasn't transferred.
No, the code enforcer dropped it. He gave Tyler Morello,
I'm missing something, counsel, because
Honestly,
this is
ma'am, we do
getting
this
out of-
all the time where people will buy a subdivision or a site plan, a project that is partially built, and we have to go through this process, same process we're doing for you here, to transfer the bond from one owner to another, to the new owner of the project. We do this all the time.
I understand, but my address is not on that bond. Tyler could come in and take his money and leave.
No, we can't.
It's not under my address.
It's
not
associated with your
under
C of O.
I just talked to Mike Ligori, Patterson lawyer, right? Who
Who we
was
also
my
hold in very high
closing-
regard.
Who was my closing attorney at my home. And he's shocked, okay? I'm not gonna say any more because I'm on the mic, but he's shocked.
He's not
He ha-
shocked. He's not shocked because I talked to him 6:30 tonight. He's not shocked. So don't go there. Is there something we can do to help you out to resolve this issue?
Yes, get Tyler to put that bond in my address legally. He's had since October and he hasn't.
Okay. We can't force Tyler,
But is that my address?
21 Big Elm?
So is it gonna just sit there? Can I go and then take it and put it toward paving my
It
driveway?
is going to sit there. Let me finish. It is going to sit there until the issue with you is resolved, however you resolve it with Tyler, because that's between you and the builder. I can't.
He wasn't my builder.
Tyler
I
Morello.
didn't hire him as my builder.
Okay. He was the person who owned the house before you. How's that?
Legally, that should be just transferred to me, right? Why is this not,
But we can't, this board has no authority to do that.
Let me just, I'm Mike's partner, so I obviously have a great interest in this discussion. I'll talk to Mike, I'll take a look at the bond, I'll discuss it with Rich, because I haven't had any discussions with anyone about this matter before tonight, and will advise as to the appropriate steps. Rich has been doing this for a long time, he's familiar with the documents.
his dad owned my
bond-
property at
the
one
bo-
time.
the
I
bond-
understand.
The bond
Well,
is
actually, my
posted.
great-grandfather, but
Great-grandfather.
that's another story.
I haven't seen it, but, and I haven't looked at the documents, but a bond is posted by whoever builds the house to get, to secure the construction of completion of the driveway on the property.
And it was a
That-
remodel, it
And-
wasn't
and
a
that-
new
what-
construction.
Again, I don't
That
have
makes
any,
a difference,
listen, I'm
though.
not here to question any of the facts about it. I'm giving you
was
off the top of my
Built in
head,
1923.
off the top of my head reaction to this. If the bond was posted to secure construction of the driveway, then it should have been transferred to you. I don't know why it wasn't. It might not have shown up. It's called an assignment. I would want to look at the language of the bond. There might be even some...
It's cash.
It's a cash bond. Is there any
cash bond.
agreement related to it, or just it's in cash?
It's in cash.
So the first step is for Mike, whom I will talk to first thing tomorrow morning, to get in touch with Tyler's attorney to let him know that we would like an assignment of the cash deposit on deposit with the town. That'll be the first thing to accomplish. Then you will have the bond in your name, and when you finish paving the driveway, the bond would get released to you. That's what happens with bonds. That bond is there to secure that the driveway gets paved by whomever. It doesn't matter to the town who does it, as long as the person who's residing in the property completes the paving. And if the person residing in the property does not complete the paving, then the town could conceivably take the money and pay a paver to pave it. So I'll get
Well,
on
the
it.
driveway's another thing, because there's not a legal permit on the driveway that is
I
supposed
can't-
to be there.
I
So
can't
we don't,
speak-
I was trying to come for a fence, and I was thrown, you can't
Well, you
do
can't- well,
anything about the
That's
driveway.
consistent with the town's laws that say if you make application to a board to do something, to obtain a variance, to obtain a special permit, to obtain site plan approval, if there are any outstanding issues, then the board you're applying to is prohibited from processing the application until it's taken care of. So we will look at the bond, we will make a decision as to how it could be used. There's all sorts of things that can be done with the town by way of agreements when you have a fund sitting there. But the first thing is to determine whether you've stepped into the shoes of Tyler, whoever that is. And as I said, I'll talk to Mike, I'll coordinate with Rich, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Anyone else? Chief, how are you tonight?
Good evening. Matt Spender, Patterson Fire Department, Chief. Back on October 26th at the town board meeting, when the town decided to create the municipal EMS department, Mr. Burns, who unfortunately is not here tonight, asked you how long it would take to get the EMS operation up and running. And just so that I don't misquote you, if you told me to just do it, in 3 months, I will have you an ambulance service. When Mr. Burns pressed you, you're telling me that you will have all the details in place and it will be up and running in 3 months, and you stated yes. Next week, it's going to be 4 months. There was some discussion at one point about the town's desire to possibly house the ambulance out of our firehouse. There was discussion about us possibly providing secondary ambulance service. And then we were told at a town board meeting, I believe back in January, that was a mistake, that was supposed to come out of the contract. Then we were told it was supposed to be back in the contract. So, again, we have not really had any conversations since the November 16th board meeting about what it is that you guys are asking of us. But I don't think I need to remind you that our contract to provide EMS service to the town and the funds that we use to provide that service run out as of March 31st. So I'm just wondering what the plan is.
You want to come in and talk? Eleanor, you want to come in and talk?
We're gonna come in and talk,
Okay.
but
I mean,
So why ask that question when you haven't sat down? To me, that seems like a setup, that question. When you guys haven't sat down at the same table to
we
discuss
were going to
things.
sit down 2 weeks ago and talk about it. We were going to sit down last week and talk about it. We're going to, or last week we were going to talk about it. This week we were going to talk about it. Now it's next week. I mean, I'm here, Matt.
Well, obviously, you have our cell phone numbers, you have our email addresses. You can certainly reach out to us and ask us. I mean, we have to go to our membership and take back any proposal or any desires that you guys have for us to have involvement in this thing, for them to approve it. We're not making those decisions, she and I. But it's been...
Matt, I have reached out to you. You know, again, I've had the conversation. I don't think you were at the last 2 meetings, right? But I've had the conversation. If you go back and look at the tapes, when would you like to come in and meet? I'll call you. You know, and then she just said it again. She just,
No, that's not true. Come on,
We're
Eleanor.
gonna vote, yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
yeah. So, and she just said tonight she's been having trouble getting the schedules coordinated. I mean, I'm trying to be understanding. but, you know, I'm ready to sit down and talk. I mean, whenever you want to come in.
All right. I mean, do we have a plan?
We have a somewhat of a plan, yes. But again, you know, before we can have a concrete plan, I want to sit down and talk with the two of you about where we're going to go. You know, what you want to do, what your future involvement is going to be. You know, do you just want to walk away from everything, or do you want to keep running? This is the conversation we've got to have.
Okay.
I just think it was confusing when you said that was a mistake. I think that's the whole thing in the back of our heads. When you stated that it was a mistake that EMS was in our contract, and then it was still in there, and you said it's still a mistake, and haven't looked at the contract, and I sent it to our attorney, so we're working on that. That was confusing, but now, well, if that's...
Okay.
We're done with that. We have no idea what your plan is.
Okay.
It's not our plan, it's our plan.
All right, when you stood up here, you said that the EMS was still in your contract. Okay? So I had the conversation with Mr. Lugori about taking out the EMS, but leaving language in there to leave the door open so that the Patterson Fire Department could still provide EMS services, if you so chose, at whatever level you wanted to do. That language, I went back and looked at the contract. That language is actually in there. And I think that's one of the things we need to talk
Why didn't you
about.
say that last time? You said it was a mistake.
Because I had to go back and look at the contract,
All right,
Eleanor.
that answers my question then. Then it's clear now, because I was confused. If it's a mistake
Okay.
and then it's supposed to be in there or not in there, okay.
Call me.
Talk about it.
Call me, we'll talk.
Matt, why don't you and Eleanor get together, email Rich, schedule for next week, a couple of dates that you're available, and set the meeting.
Okay. We'll do that. Like I said, unfortunately, as she stated, the confusion arose when, back in January, right before the contract hearings, she asked about why that language was in the contract, and we were told it was a mistake, that it's coming out of the contract, it shouldn't be in there. So we really have no idea what exactly it is that you're looking to do.
I'm looking to have the conversation with you to talk about what you want to do going forward within the context of the town's plans to provide EMS services.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay. Anyone else? Going once?
Denise Montana, EMS Administrator. What is the date that was the final approval for the town to go forward with the town EMS? Do you know what that date was off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head.
Probably when we approved the budget.
Well, I know that was not approved in October. So we're not dealing with 4 months.
No, but Matt is right, that I did have a conversation up here with Mr. Burns when we were moving this forward.
Right.
And told Mr. Burns that if he gave me the go-ahead, then I would do everything I could to get the ambulance service up and running in 3 months.
Right, but we weren't given the go-ahead in October. We were given that at a much later date. And then...
Either way, I really don't.
I just wanted to make it clear that it hasn't taken us 4 months to get where we are. You know, and the administrator wasn't officially employed until January 17th. So we're just dealing with a couple months at this point.
Okay. Come on, back up.
Matt Spinder, Chief of the Patterson Fire Department. At the end of the October 26th, 2016 Town Board meeting, a resolution was introduced by Mr. D'Andriano, Resolution 1016-04, for EMS ambulance service for the town of Patterson. That was the night that the Town Board decided to move forward with the creation of the EMS department.
Thank you, Matt.
Next week, 4 months.
I think I acknowledge that, Matt, so, thank you. Anyone else? Motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go in executive session.
Wait a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. Aye.